And welcome to Welcome Home Radio. The waters in the mortgage industry can be pretty muddy, whether it's investing, leasing, renting, home insurance, or myths and misconceptions. Welcome Home Radio has the answers for you, the consumer. And now, to help you make the right home buying decision for you and your family, here are your hosts.
And welcome to Welcome Home Radio, where real estate lending and learning come together. This is your mortgage market update for November 11th. The markets are completely closed today in observance for Veterans Day. And our show agenda is to share what it means to be a veteran and what these days mean to us. First, I want everyone to know the difference between Veterans Day, Memorial Day, and Armed Forces Day. These holidays all recognize the importance of military service, and they both honor the sacrifices made by active duty, guard, and reserve troops and their family members. But these holidays are separate and distinct. There's good reasons why they are observed each year. Aside from the different histories and origins and intentions, these are the biggest differences there are. Memorial Day is the name, of course, implies a time paid to respect and honor those who have died either while serving their country or as a result of military service or after they have finished serving as a retired or separated veteran. Of course, Armed Forces Day is a joint celebration of all 6 branches. And again, this includes all the U.S. military, Air Force, Army, Coast Guard, Marine Corps, Navy, and of course, the newly created Space Force. This day honors all people currently serving in the U.S. Armed Forces, and this includes all those 6 services as well as the National Guard and Reserve components. And finally, Veterans Day honors those who have served in the past, present, and even pays tribute to those who will serve in the future. Now, when are they observed? Of course, Memorial Day is the last Monday of May. Armed Forces Day is the 3rd Saturday in May, and a Veterans Day, of course, is November 11th, no matter what day it falls on. So I hope this has helped clear up some things and you understand the history and the origin of these services, but real excited about having today to share with you what veterans, what it means, as well as patriots. And joining us today, of course, head monkey butt of KVGI Media. We got Mark Warner with us. So glad you're here. Of course, my good friend and Alan's good friend, Matt Green, now transponent Texan, not Californian, as well as Navy reservist or Navy serviceman veteran. And then, of course, my old buddy, Alan, good to see you, sir. And thank you for your dad's service. Can we bring up the screens? Let everybody, everybody's muted. There we go. So what does this day mean overall? And Mark, you're a patriot. You are a full-fledged, one of those best patriots. What does it mean from your eyes, Veterans Day?
Respect is probably the number one word that comes to mind. That's what my dad taught me. He taught me to honor and respect no matter what they did or didn't do in service, no matter whether they were honored or dishonored. If they served, they wrote their name for a blank check, then respect is what you give them. The actions thereof that came upon the time of their exit of service did not matter. And so honor them respectfully. And, I still do that today. I try to honor it as much as I can. I try to, I try not to, and it's kind of may come out to a little bit of a negative way, but I try not to make veterans feel like they're in a special hole, that they're one of one, right? I try to make them feel like they're just the same as me. The only difference is they served a different job, and their job was military, and my job is civilian corporate. And that's really the only difference. Otherwise, we're exactly the same people, the exact same attitudes, the exact same friendship, and we have the exact same way of sharing love.
Sure.
And it just comes back to respect.
Well, I appreciate you. And Matt, before we get to you, I want to go to Alan. Alan is the son of a veteran, and I guess I want to hear what were you taught, or what do you understand about today and Veterans Day and all the other Memorial Day, Armed Forces Day? What does it mean to you?
Well, I actually looked it up because I think a lot of people don't know why Veterans Day is on the 11th of November. And it's the 11th day of the 11th hour in 1918, of which World War I ended. The 11th month, 11th hour, so 11th day. So that's kind of cool. You know, I think a lot of people don't know that. As far as my dad, yeah, World War II veteran, served in the Seabees and also served as a flagman and telegraph operator on a ship or a boat, I guess if you're in the Navy, whatever you call it. So, but he never talked about that growing up. And until I started looking into a retirement place for him, I didn't know a lot of this, but I'll share with the audience, and I know that you will appreciate it. Matt, this is a honorable discharge dated April 1945 for my dad. On the backside has all the campaigns, and you can't read it, but I just want to share this with you. It's dated 10 June 1945 to Roy Griffin Pace, United States Navy. Dear Mr. Pace, the Chief of Naval Personnel takes pleasure in forwarding with his congratulations the following award made to you for I can't say that word. How do you say it? Meritorious?
Meritorious.
Yeah. Conduct as a member of the Naval Services. Ribbon Bar of the Navy Unit Commendation awarded the 301st Construction Battalion for meritorious service in support of military operations at Saipan, Tinian, Guam, Peleliu, Iwo Jima, and Okinawa from 1 July 44 to 1 September 45. And doing all the research, I found Dad's ribbon.
Whoops.
Yep. There's his ribbon.
Awesome.
And this was in a packet, an honorable discharge packet from 1945. And upon digging in it, found these little gems. This is currency. And you can read the back. It says, issued pursuant to military proclamation. Dad has, I guess probably enough for a couple of beers on the island or something, but that money did not get touched until I touched it about 6 months ago. It sat in this pouch. And so what people have gone through, that we can have a show like this and talk about anything we want to talk about whenever we want to talk about it. A lot of people served, paid the ultimate price. I don't think a lot of people understand that. I think Veterans Day of all of them is as important as any of them, because it's about not me. And, I'm like Mark, I'm a civilian, I support, but you guys served. It's different. And it's really without people going in and doing that, we wouldn't be here. And so sure appreciate everything you guys do and did. And I know you're humble and you don't like talking about it a lot of times. Like I said, my dad, for all those years, 70-something years, not a peep. Nobody knew what he did. I did some digging, and it took a lot of digging.
That's true. And Matt, I appreciate you coming on again, but a whole nother discussion topic, brother. Thank you for your service again. I know you probably don't want everybody to know, but you are a 100% disabled veteran. And I want to let our listening audience know there is roughly 4.7 million disabled veterans in the United States, 18.8 million total veterans, and 239,000 of them are 100% disabled. And we got to thank you, Matt. Appreciate your service. Share what it means with our audience, what Veterans Day means to you.
Well, thank you, Blair, and happy Veterans Day to everybody out there. For me, it's somebody's already touched on it. I think Mark said about respect, and also Alan about being grateful and thankful for all the things that we take for granted as Americans, all the rights and freedoms that we have. And it's an honor, and it is very humbling to think about all the things that have happened and all those people that have made the ultimate sacrifice for us to be sitting here today having this conversation.
Amen. Amen. It's a great time to visit. I know many people like your dad, Alan, hey, they're not going to openly come out. They may share it with friends that know. I'm having dinner tonight with three special veterans in my life, and I'm looking forward to that time to spend with them, period. Doesn't matter where we go, we're going to have a good time sharing, visiting, fellowshipping. I just know I wish everybody understood the importance. Like you said, Matt, our country is not built on politicians. It's not built on teachers. It's not built on anything but the blood of American citizens that have chosen to fight. And just appreciate their sacrifice. And I want to try to do them honor of remembering them and understanding and living a life worthy of their sacrifice. I love that new t-shirt that's come out. Living a life that's worthy of their sacrifice. So, hey, Tom, welcome. Welcome to our special veteran show. How are you?
Oh, very appropriate. Great day to do that.
Well, I mean, what else could we do with the markets closed anyway, right?
I've got my flag out today, the whole 9 yards.
Let's see it. Let's see your flag.
Well, I'm at work, so
Okay.
I have to get in the car and drive you for 15, 20 minutes. Sure, let's do that. Hi, Matt.
How you doing today, Tom?
I'm well, thanks. Very good.
Well, Tom, do you have anybody in your life, or what does Veterans Day mean to you?
Well, my oldest brother served in the reserves, and I didn't actually know that until he passed away. I knew he was in the reserves, but I didn't realize he was in it for 6 years. But I was in charge of his estate. When I went through it, I was like kind of taken with not having known that. But he served during Vietnam, and that was a time that was very hard for young kids, 19 and 20, to come back. And some of the treatment they received, I know, was very, very difficult. And so that era veteran is much different than my dad's service, which was he was a pilot for the Army. And yeah, the Army had pilots. During World War II, he flew overseas in Japan, and he never spoke of his service either, but for a totally different reason. And I realized just how much my family has been affected by wars and what it did to the psyche of those people that dedicated their lives to do those dangerous things that they did. And especially my dad. The only story I know of my dad and his service, and when asked why he doesn't talk about it, he said, well, I was the pilot of my plane, and eventually everybody that was on the original plane and part of my crew was killed. And I said, well, how's that? And you weren't. And he said, the planes were just made of, paper and balsa and nothing. And the flak that came up eventually killed everybody in his plane at one time or another on the different missions he flew.
Wow.
And so matter of fact, he did tell me his co-pilot was shot, and one of the bullets that went straight up through him from the seat. And so you just don't realize until you've had that firsthand experience, knowing that those people go through and see stuff that we in the civilian statuses never see in our lifetimes and never encounter and never experience that kind of loss. So, boy, I kind of a tough first question here, but it's really close to my heart every time when this day rolls around. And, I've been blessed. I've sung at our Chamber of Commerce. I've actually sung God Bless America before. And so I've had some involvements that make me understand and recognize those things, but not to the extent that these people have done as far as giving their lives to help us be a free nation. And
it's interesting that not all wounds are visible, and that's the problem that the veterans are facing. They challenged by nightmares, remembrance, terrors, buddies passing away. It is a challenge, and unfortunately for a portion of our population, they don't seem to understand that. They don't seem want to think it's critical. And for me, of course, I want my veteran buddies, whether they're homeless, whatever the situation is, I want them served first before an illegal alien, illegal immigrant. So that's just a challenge. David, appreciate you listening in. Thank you for your family's service in those different battles. But again, what else does this day mean? If you take in Memorial Day, I mean, that's Memorial Weekend and everybody does something big. I get the feeling this is the day to me that really brings out more. But yet Memorial Day remembers those that have fallen, and it's very focused on that. Or do people remember Memorial Day as the barbecue day? That's what I'm wondering. It seems like we have an education space, an educational missed. Would y'all agree?
I really think that Veterans Day has more traction to people thinking about this thing. You know, it's hard to blame any person who doesn't understand war. I don't know. I don't know how to say this right, but you know, Memorial Day and those that have given the ultimate. I think you're right. Or I think a lot of people see it as an extended weekend at the beach.
Yep.
Veterans Day to me has always felt, I don't know, more veteran-y. It's more real, you know, and people actually discuss stuff because luckily, you know, most veterans, you know, they're alive. A lot of, you know, people are alive, sharing their stories and raising their families, and they're all age groups. And I think there's more interaction about the military service and what mom and dad and cousin and uncle and grandma and grandpa went through on a day like this. And maybe, Gigi and I are the perfect example. We got married on May 28th. Why? Because we were young, starting out broke, and didn't have no time off from our jobs. So we got married on that extended weekend so everybody could come in. And it was all about us and not about Memorial Day. So that's fact, you know. I'm not saying it's the right way to do it, but that's how we did it. And I think Veterans Day, I get a different feel personally.
Well, I want to give a view from, I know from personal discussions, but I'm going to put him on the spot here. Most of us, Mark is in Michigan now, but he's from Texas. We're in. Hey, Matt, you just moved here. You're from another area of the country. How were veterans received? I mean, you were right in San Diego. Coronado is right across the bay. You know, huge naval station there. But yet, what's the feeling there compared to what you're saying you're coming to Texas? Can I hear that difference? Help our audience know about that.
Well, not to say anything bad about the place I came from, they're just not as patriotic when it comes to the military, unfortunately. It's just the way that state is, I think, has always been. My father was a special forces guy in the Marines, and when he came back, he came through the San Francisco airport and they were spitting on him and calling him a baby killer. So it's kind of tough. And then growing up in San Diego, it was a Navy town, and people were, pretty good to us, but it was kind of like this polite tolerance, for a better word. And it was kind of like, people that hated the police, but then when they needed the police, they wanted them around. That was kind of like the way that it was set up. And I think for my personal experience, I think I was stationed in Texas back in the early 90s at Corpus Christi, and I noticed there was a very big difference between the way people behaved in Texas versus the way people behave from where I grew up. And I thought that was really interesting. And everywhere I traveled throughout the United States, it seemed like people treated the military differently wherever I went. And it seemed like the further you got away from, some of the coasts and, in places that were a little more conservative, they seemed to be better toward the military. And when I came to Texas, that's one of the reasons I moved here, is because they treat their veterans much better here in Texas, and there's a lot more benefits that they actually give to veterans versus paying lip service to it. like they do in some of the other areas, which tend to be more liberal.
That is so true. And one of the things that I will say in the last 3 years, and Matt, you tell me if you agree or disagree, but I believe the VA service has really upticked in the last 3 years. It's gotten so much better. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I agree. It's gotten a lot better, and they've managed to. They actually, interestingly enough, the VA that I was attending for treatment out in the San Diego area was actually leading the way in trying what they call complementary alternative medical treatments, which, I think is really great, because a lot of people think, oh, that's just, hippie medicine, or, that kind of stuff. But, they were getting into acupuncture, they were getting into massage therapy, they were getting into yoga, all these different things to try and help veterans get past post-traumatic stress or any of the other wartime injuries that they had received in the line of duty.
Well, and I think that's so important that we continue that service, that we continue, because we're still continuing to see veteran suicide grow. It is so hard, and as Tom brought out, most of these issues are not physically seen; they are mentally seen. The nightmares, the challenges, the dependency. I just think alternative medications probably would help out a lot of people if they weren't medicated so much, and they don't become dependent on that. They become dependent on relationships and getting out. That's why there's over 356,000 charities right here in North Texas alone, and over 100,000 of them focus on veterans. So hopefully we can still continue that help and going. I'm sorry, I'm reading David Tanner's post real quick.
It's a good post.
I agree, David. I totally agree that our educational system has taken away any honor of our country, honor of the flag. I mean, why? I remember saying the pledge every morning. Who else in here?
Yeah, we did that. Yeah.
I mean, why isn't that still going on? Why isn't that a part of the day that we honor our flag, honor our country? To me, our flag means so much. You remember the story of Fort Sumter, it being bombarded, and they were bombarding it to the point that the flag was going to be fallen. They wanted to take that flag down. And come in the morning, it was amazing that it was still flying, but it was over the body of the people. It wasn't the post. The post had already been blown away, but it was actually human people holding that flag up throughout the night to make sure it stays there.
Well, all the way back to the Revolutionary War, what those people did was truly amazing. I spend a lot of time, I love history, and I've been spending a lot of time looking up things on Washington and, all the things they went through back then, and him as a young man going into, working as a surveyor and fighting Indians and the French and the British. There was no America. There was no United States. Those people did it. And the things they sacrificed are amazing. No shoes in the winter. I mean, it's really, everybody says a joke nowadays. I used to go to school with no boots on, backwards uphill and stuff in the snow. Well, they really were doing stuff like that to form a country. And it's amazing. And it's just so different when you're our age group to see the changes that have gone on in this country in regards to everything from, God to the veteran, how this country was founded. And David's point's good. There is no civics class anymore. Nobody knows history. Nobody understands civics. And you're not taught about how this country was founded. Were there problems? You betcha. But you know what? There's a lot of people wanting to move to the United States of America still.
It sure does seem like that, isn't it, Alan? They still want to come here.
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of people leaving, even though they threatened to leave publicly. They put it out there. Again, we want to thank those veterans and recognize that whatever age veteran you are, whether it's in your 20s up to your 70s, 80s, 90s, we appreciate it. My generation appreciates that effort. At least my family does. I know that. And, you know, I have a Navy veteran uncle and I have a Army veteran uncle. And I got to tell you, they were, when I was growing up, they were definitely the ones that led me in that way to serve, because to me, it was an honorable thing. And plus, I didn't do well at school anyway. So, you know, it kind of helped me along my way. But, we've lost that. And when we can't say the Pledge of Allegiance, when kids cannot answer basic questions, I am so fearful of giving up freedoms for free things instead of understanding we hold on to our freedoms. You don't need free things. What do you guys think about that right now? Tom, you're muted.
I didn't want all that feedback. I hate to break in, but I don't know where your kids are going to school, because our kids say the pledge
That's
in our
awesome.
school.
I'm so sorry for that, Capel.
I'm sorry, but let's not put out misinformation, because our kids say it in our
I'm
schools.
glad. No,
So I really, I don't want that misconception going out.
My kids graduated from Plano.
Okay. Well, I mean, you don't do it in the high school because you don't have homeroom per se anymore. But in the elementary school, they say that in the Texas Pledge.
Why not in the high schools? You can say it the first period. 30 seconds.
Well, why don't you go talk to our legislators about that. Don't talk to the school.
Oh.
I'm almost getting scared.
Say again.
So I'm almost getting scared, Tom. You look mad. I'm frightened.
Well, no. I'm just saying we teach history. I think we need to understand history from a standpoint that it's caused a lot of challenges in our society. I don't think it just needs to be all colored, real positive that one group was better than another. But we've got our own problems in the United States, but we still are the best place to come, and we are the best place to live. There's no doubt about it. And I think it just needs to be taught from a civil standpoint that, you know, in our history classes, that the kids learn about what the basis was. I mean, I always thought that Rosa Parks, you know, the reason she sat on the front of the bus was because she was tired and she'd just come from work. Well, she had been off work for 2 days and she was riding on the bus as protest. And so, I mean, you got to understand people's motivations, why they may feel repressed or why those things happen. And there's two sides to every story. And it's just, you know, I'm not long on this earth, but I hope my kids have been raised with the fact to listen to everybody, to listen to both sides. And I think that's so key for us to be able to go forward as a successful nation. I mean, we weren't able to put men on the moon during the times when we were at civil unrest unless we saw the fact that we were and were striving towards better things for everybody. And that's my only concern. And we do say the pledge.
That's great. No, I'm thrilled to hear that. Again, I'm disappointed high schoolers don't sustain that. And I never knew why until my kids were asking, why don't we do that? And they don't. And they say it's time. Maybe it's homeroom, maybe it's something else. But again, those are the impactful years, in my opinion. And again, we all, as grandparents, as parents, hopefully we can continue to teach. And like you're doing, David, be thankful for what they are, be a part of that. And we have a right to push, but to understand the Electoral College, to understand the Constitution and how it can be changed, to understand the Bill of Rights, to understand our legislative bodies of federal government, and then what are their powers? Because we've seen a transformation of that at the governor level, at the mayoral level, as well as the federal level, and that attempt. And what do we fight for? What did we, Matt and I on here, and others go and defend this country for is for the betterment of all Americans, period, no matter where you live. But we want to continue that, sustain that, and understand it, because that's why we have these days. My fear is they might take these 3 days away. Tom?
I don't see any foundation for that.
I don't either.
But
I'll be real honest with you. I don't see a foundation for that.
I hope not. I hope not.
Well,
I want, when I see Halloween being celebrated the way it's been celebrated recently compared to my earlier years, I guess, I see it becoming so much larger than I guess what I would want to have it. That's a holiday I could do without, but it is a holiday, and I understand candy and.
Well, it's not a federal holiday by any stretch of the imagination.
Is Valentine's Day either, or is that a Hallmark holiday?
Your wife thinks it is. You better get your butt in gear if it is.
It's an international holiday. The world should take a break on Valentine's Day, and the men shouldn't do anything except for their women. That's it.
Do not go to the store and get something on Valentine's Day because they know it. You needed to think about it sometime in at least the 48 hours prior.
Yeah, but we've all done that.
Yeah, but Amazon was built on the foundation of purchasing flowers overnight.
Or the day of.
I'm sorry?
Or the day of.
Or the day of. Hey, I do want to let some veterans know out there, there are several restaurants doing some special things. Texas Day Brazil through tomorrow, 25% off. Golden Corral, a free meal for a veteran at Golden Corral. Applebee's, veterans or active duty military, a limited menu, but a free meal. Bar Louie offering free burgers on Veterans Day. And how about this one? Bubba Gump Shrimp is offering 20% off all food and purchases for veterans.
Don't forget Dairy Queen giving away blizzards.
Hey, maybe I need to go there this afternoon.
There you go.
And Cantina Laredo, just to name a few. So there are ways that our community is supporting. Look at the local in your area, what they might be doing for you. Now, I did want to go to Mark real quick. Mark, you moved away from us. We miss you dearly in person, but we know you're here. You moved to another state away from us in a colder area, I believe Alan's old stomping grounds. What do you see a difference in some things that you see basic on our topic today up there as opposed to here?
Well, yeah, I think I see two things, but I don't know if it's because of the world I'm in and the connections that I'm making, or if I'm seeing it statewide. But I will say that, one thing that you and I have talked about in the past is that this being a blue state. But since I've moved here, I've seen nothing but a red state. Everywhere I go has been a red support. I have met so many nice people that are wanting to know who you are. And they don't really care what state you came from. What they really care about is what you're going to do here. How are you going to respect the land? Are you going to live here and take care of it? Are you going to respect everybody? Did you just come here and want to screw everything up? They're trying to make sure that you're just going to live here in great content and in great harmony, and that nothing's going to get ruined in that respect, not to their lives either. But on the other side is the veterans that I've got connected with. And I will tell you that it's happened not once, but it's happened 3 times where in a random store, in a random place, in random opportunity, where somebody has walked up to me and either thought I was in service, whether it's my demeanor, how I acted, or whichever, or it was because something just drew them to me. Except for one time when we had 2 dogs with us that were puppies, and they came over and walked up to us. But then the conversation was, did you serve? And I said, no, but my dad did. I'm an Army brat. And they were like, well, I've served, and I served as an Air Force. And then I found out he was with a organization that even our Texas group, 22 Kill, has been a part of, which is called 22 to None. And they're here just about 20 miles away from me. And it's become a good connection. I will tell you the one thing that I have seen here is large groups, but I say large groups, 100 people in little groups that will combine together to go help a charity. And it's across the board, and it's a lot of veteran charities across the board. So there's nothing one specific in a topic. And I don't see a whole lot of outside of nonprofits and being a military, at least not in what I've seen. But I see a lot of, I'm in a lot of groups that do side-by-sides, which are utility vehicles like an ATV. And there, almost every weekend, there's an event going on that's supporting some charity at some restaurant, raising some funds, doing some kind of fundraising to some degree. And that's huge here. I didn't know that until probably just the last 2 or 3 months that I start seeing it more and more often. But people are nice here. I'm finding it just quite the opposite of what I've been told that Michigan was. I was told that it's not as a friendly state. Everybody kind of holds their own, bad weather all the time. And, people just stuck in their own little rut. I'm finding it just the opposite. But I think
that's a good point.
I'm going to be in. I'm sorry.
In Michigan's Upper Peninsula, it's a very independent little area.
Yes.
Like Texas was a country and, thinks it can still succeed if it wants to. The Upper Peninsula of Michigan tried to become the state of Superior.
Yeah.
It's not actually connected to Michigan. The Mackinac Bridge connects it. It's connected to Wisconsin. And so, they're very independent. That whole mass of the Upper Peninsula has about the same number of people as Arlington, Texas. And so when you consider they have that big land mass and not a lot of people, and the best hunting, the best fishing, snowmobiling, trailing, biking, all that stuff is up there with no people to speak of. They're very independent, and I find very conservative. My high school class I'm in touch with on Parler and Facebook, and very conservative bunch, although we all grew up kind of poor and Democrats when we started, independently found our way through. And I find a very unique camaraderie between the Upper Peninsula and Texas. Very independent in my opinion. I don't know a lot about Gaylord other than I've been through it, and Frankenmuth and some beautiful northern lower Michigan cities that are just tremendous.
Well, you've touched on something, Alan, because I just went my first time this last weekend to St. Ignace. And Ignace, yeah. And it was a totally independent town.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What I will tell you is that you were mentioning Gaylord, and I will tell you something different about, and I don't know if it's all of Michigan or if it's just because it's in the low LP and the UP, but everybody works Monday through Friday. Only the ones that are on Saturday that have to, your convenience stores, your grocery stores, and things like that, they're open on Saturdays. You're not going to find a lot of retail stores open on Saturday and Sunday.
Right.
At all.
Yeah.
I went on Sunday up there to up the UP, and everything's closed except for a convenience store.
Yep.
And a small grocery store. But the big grocery stores that are up there, their own little brand, closed. Like, you want food, you want something, well, good luck trying to find them. Little restaurants, little mom and pops. But I just found that nobody is worried about the Monday through Friday workday on the weekend. It's family time. It's time to be at home. It's time to service your family and just have that love and support and live on your own and be independent. And I've seen that quite a bit. I've seen that in Gaylord. But Monday through Friday, all hats off, because they're working 24/7 and they'll work until it's dark. And, I'll tell you a funny story. We're not used to Michigan yet to 100%. So there are times when we go to the store and a blizzard comes in. It could be a blizzard of snow that's coming. They say it's going to be 5 inches. It turns to 8 inches, right?
Same here.
Right? Or it's 37 here. Or it could be like the last couple of days where it's raining 5 to 10 inches of rain. We're panicking. We're trying to run everywhere. We okay, we got to go to the store. We got to do this. We got winds coming in at 70 miles an hour. We got rain's going to be 5 to 10. We need to go in the next hour and get back, right?
Just another day.
Just another day for people in Michigan. So the end of that story was our first night that we were here, they told us it was going to get 4 to 6 inches of snow, and it ended up getting 5 to 10 inches of snow. And we're in one of a convenience store at 11 o'clock at night, and we're trying to get a air up mattress because we could not get our bed out of the truck. And it started snowing like crazy. here we are, gloves, hat, mask. I mean, we just fully loaded. There's guys coming in cowboy pants and boots and shorts and flip-flops. And we're just like, what the heck? Are you guys crazy? It's freaking cold out there. The blizzard's coming in. And we're trying to rush. And people are just like, it's just another day. I mean, yeah, it's going to snow 5 inches. We'll get home eventually. And we're just sitting there going, but it's because they're laid back. They're used to it. It's just Mother Nature just blows it in, and it'll go and it'll come by. But you know what? Just keep living your life. You don't have to change what you do on a daily basis just because of the weather.
Right.
So it's been hard for us.
And back to the veteran thing, the last thing I'll say about the Upper Peninsula, it's just a fact. A lot of veterans go there.
Yes.
Just they are so away, and guns are still sacred up there. You know, you can hunt, fish, you know, it's just you're away. The towns are small, it's relaxed, and like Mark said, you get 20. I mean, it would be, I used to put on hockey skates and skate to the ice rink on the road. That's a great way to be 11 years old. Trust me. I'm telling you.
Wait, you got older? I thought you were still 11.
Well, mentally I am. Yes. I'm not grown up. Matt knows that. We've had beers.
It must be something great because you're pulling a friend of ours, mutual friend of ours, a veteran up there. If there's any way he's figuring it out, he's going to, is Joe. Joe is moving up there and he's very excited about it. So
yeah, it's gonna be cool.
I'm happy for you. I am thrilled. You know, the thing about veterans, one of the things y'all were talking about, it made me think of this. And Matt, I don't know about the Navy. I was in the Army, but there was a thing called hurry up and wait. Everything we did was hurry up and wait. Did you have a similar thing there in the Navy? It seems like yes, veterans love that laid back lifestyle. Because they know the next drama is going to come in the next door. So they want to get away from it. They want to, like Joe, I want to go find 40 acres and just live my life. I don't want to have that hurry up and wait anymore. I had a life full of it in the military. So that's something mutual, I'm sure, across generations as I've talked to them. And one thing I do want to do right here in local Texas, let everybody know that's listening, this Saturday, We Got Your Six, which is supporting homeless veterans. We're having a poker tournament at the VFW Louisville. And so if you want to go, if you want to find out more about it, Karen Mercy Foundation is sponsoring it, putting it on this Saturday, 11 to 5. Top 10 prizes for everybody that makes the top 10, and should be a great time. And it's for a great cause, homeless veterans here in North Texas. So I hope you can join us, be thinking about it. And if you meet or ask or just get to bump in, thank a veteran. Thank them for their willingness to serve. But also, I want to make sure we thank all the family, because those veterans cannot do a single thing without the support of their family. And those family members and those patriots that are back home, you know, my hat's off to them. It is a hard job while we go off and serve, staying home. I have a young couple that got married 2 weeks before they deployed. He deployed and he's been gone now 11 months and he's supposed to return before Christmas. And they just found out, oh, the other unit, it could be COVID, so it'll be a delay by 30 days before they get back to or get up to date on Egypt. So that unit gets to take the brunt and stay another 30 days there in Egypt. So again, we've got veterans deployed around the world, and their families are here. Their families need support as well. And we're just so appreciative. I want to thank all of the veterans out there for what they've done to make America what it is, and for the opportunity to live in this country with the freedoms we have. And I hope we don't ever give them up easily. So that's my last word. I'm Blair Thomas.
I'm Tom Holm.
I'm Alan Pace. Happy Veterans Day.
God bless. Happy Veterans Day. And thank you, Matt, for your service. And thank all the veterans and their families out there. Take care.